And if you needed more proof that the Republican Party is the party of Trump, we got it last night in the Ohio Senate primary race. Trump-backed candidate Bernie Moreno ran away with it last night. He won every single county and even cracked 50%. The second-place finisher, Matt Dolan, chalked it up to Trump.
It's self-evident that Donald Trump's endorsement for Bernie Moreno was the key factor for Bernie winning. Yeah, I think Trump's endorsement was very influential in the race.
Digging into the exit polls, Trump's strength is very apparent. 73% of Ohio Republican voters said it is more important for the state's next senator to show support for the former president. Moreno won a majority of those voters, and 2/3 believe the false notion that President Biden did not legitimately win the 2020 election. Moreno also cleared up with those voters, too. While Moreno had Trump's endorsement, he also is the candidate Democrats most wanted to win. They think he is most beatable in November, which sounds a little familiar. Moreno's win sets up a race with incumbent Democrat Sherrod Brown that could decide which party controls the Senate. Joining me now for more on why last night's results matter for November is NBC News chief political analyst Chuck Todd. So, of course, you've written a number of articles that have solidified this is Trump's party. But I wonder, what did we learn in Ohio yesterday that solidifies that even more?
I think it's the fact that how persuasive Trump is at the end. I mean, this isn't, look, the Trump voter was waiting for Trump again in some ways, right? You had Bernie Moreno was dealing with something from his past that could have been, that was being used, question about some sort of dating site, may have been a same-sex dating site or something like that. And they were almost waiting. It was as if they were waiting for Trump to bless him again. And he comes in that rally, and it clearly had an impact. I mean, these are good pollsters that are involved. This was a race. This broke late. Moreno got the rest. I'm moved by one of the people who interviewed somebody after the polls, and I voted for the guy Trump wanted. Like, couldn't even remember the guy's Moreno's name after they voted for him. So it really does show you the power of Trump in these primaries. But he had a lot of power in 2022, too. And he ended up helping nominate a bunch of people who are more vulnerable. Democrats also made a huge assist here to Moreno at the end because they were petrified. Look, if Matt Dolan had won this primary, I'm not saying Democrats would have pulled out of Ohio Senate race because Sherrod Brown's too beloved inside the party to do that. But I promise you, there'd have been if you were deciding who got more resources, John Tester was going to get this Moreno being the nominee means Democrats are going to stay engaged all the way to the end.
And Chuck, of course, I know you always love sort of the political trivia. When we look at Ohio, Sherrod Brown is in this very unique space because Trump has won Ohio twice, 2016 and 2020, but still they have a Democratic senator. So how much is Senator Brown going to have to really pull those split ticket voters to win again?
He's got to win. Look, Biden lost it by 8. Tim Ryan lost to J.D. Vance by 6. So you sort of see where it is there, right? Can Sherrod Brown run 3 or 4 points ahead of Joe Biden? I think he can. Can he run 6, 7, 8 points ahead of Joe Biden? I think that's a very, very tall order. We're going to find out in a presidential year. It's interesting. Sherrod Brown has won this seat 3 times. Only once was it in a presidential year, and Barack Obama carried Ohio. That was when Ohio was, in 2012. So this is a different Ohio than the last time he ran in a presidential year. And there's something about it's interesting how the two parties have flipped. It used to be Democrats benefited from sort of a presidential vote turnout surge. And now it is clearly on the Trump side of things. He benefits more. Republicans benefit more from this sort of the last people that end up turning out.
I also want to talk about your new column out. You write about that there are 2 kinds of voters. They're aspirationalists.
That are left.
that are left. Aspirationalists and transactionalists. I want to read a little bit of what you wrote. You wrote, some voters will respond to aspirational appeals about what's in the best interest of America abroad and what's in the best interest of the country as a whole. Others will be persuaded to rationalize their votes based on pure transactional feelings. Explain your thesis here in these 2 voters.
Look, this primarily comes from watching the business community of late, particularly in the tech world, right? You've seen this sort of, and the tech world really has transitioned from a very idealistic set of founders back in the late first decade of this century to a very dark, sort of, hey, it's survival of the fittest mindset, and this sort of transactional nature that politics yeah, Trump's corrupt, but they're all corrupt. The whole system's corrupt. Maybe I don't even have to bother. And it's this cynical, I think that I point out these voters, I've been running across them a lot more, even in person. These people that don't like either candidate, don't like either party, and then just say, well, you know, at least with Trump, you can buy him off. And they almost see that as a net positive because it's at least he's persuadable in that sense. And it's this sort of, frankly, dark view of the American public, right?
Yeah.
And dark view of democracy in general. So I think this is something Biden's running up against. He's comfortable trying to be aspirational. It was easier for him to do this in 2020. It's hard to do it as a sitting president, but he's going to need it because I think the biggest thing he's facing are a bunch of voters who don't like Trump who may not vote, and that could be the difference of him winning or losing.
Well, in this double hater sort of atmosphere.
These are the double haters.
In the double haters atmosphere, what are you watching for when you think about the fact that Biden won these voters last time, but this time around it's going to be harder? I think
these folks, let me put it this way. When you had in college, when you had a paper due, and I don't want to presume, and you weren't looking forward to this paper, did you do it early? Or did you do it late? And I think one thing that I want to warn people of is I think it's possible we're very static. The double haters they're not going to break until Halloween, okay? Like, I think we are looking at late breaking voters here. So because I think if you don't like a decision you have to make, you're going to wait till the very last minute to make it.
Yeah. I also want to ask you, there's this idea you noted in your column that Mike Pence, because I want to bring this up.
I think it's the biggest thing that happened in the last week, and we haven't paid attention to it.
It's really interesting because in any other election, any other political cycle, you would think the vice president not endorsing the president that he was with would be big news. Tell me a bit about
I still think this is a big deal.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about why you think it should get more attention.
I go back to the double haters, right? At the end of the day, it's the double haters that are going to decide this election. They decided it in 16. They're going to decide it in 24. They decided it in 20. They'll decide it in 24. The fact that, I don't know whether it'll be a super PAC that runs this ad, the Lincoln Project, whoever it is, but you're going to have, at the end of this campaign, an ad that says, don't take Joe Biden's word that Donald Trump's unfit for president. Take it from the people he hired, and then you play a clip of him saying, I only hire the best people, right? And then you have Mike Pence, 2 secretaries of defense, Jim Mattis and Mark Esper, 2 former chiefs of staff, John Kelly and Mick Mulvaney, 2 national security advisors, H.R. McMaster and John Bolton. All of them are much more credible messengers to the double haters than Joe Biden will be. And I think that's why I think the fact that Pence was that comfortable, you don't even have to use Liz Cheney, but you have a growing list in the Senate. There's going to be at least, I think, 5 Republican senators that sit in I'm not endorsing it, right? It looks like Tom Tillis is going to be there. Todd Young's already. That's not an insignificant list because, you don't have a mirror image on the Democratic side. There is not Dean Phillips, and even he's endorsing Biden.
Well, I want to ask you more questions, but we have to go. So thank you so much, Chuck Todd. I appreciate it.
Got it.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.